While the birds are mating on the sea, their enemies are active on the island. Skomer is the breeding place of several species of gulls, and the Puffin's breeding season will be a field day for them. Meanwhile, though, the Puffins have other chores to attend to. Puffins can dig their own burrows, but it's a very slow business. They often nest under rocks or in other natural crevices. But Skomer has ready-made holes to offer as well, dug by the Puffin's neighbors, the rabbits. Puffins are absolutely shameless house stealers, and the houses they like to steal best are the ones made by the rabbits. All the Puffin has to do is tidy up each season. Some of the other Puffin burrows have been taken over from shearwaters, which also nest in burrows on Skomer. Once the burrows are prepared, the birds make a token gesture in the direction of building a nest. A couple of beakfuls of grass or a stick or two is enough. The rabbits that dug the Puffin's burrows play no further part in their lives, but the other neighbors become distinctly troublesome. Herring gulls and black-backed gulls plague the Puffins endlessly during the breeding season. At first, they seem to be practicing the harassment, which will be their means of stealing food later on. There's nothing here for the gulls yet. The Puffins eat their fish as they catch them out on the sea. Nevertheless, even at this early stage of the season, the tension between gulls and Puffins is building up. There's a good reason for it, too. A black-backed gull will eat a Puffin if it can catch one. The Puffins have evolved a way of evading the gulls. When they leave the cliffs to fly down to the sea, they dive steeply to reach maximum speed as quickly as possible. On the return journey, they'll soon learn to fly high on their approach run so as to be able to dive for home. Right now, though, the birds aren't bringing the fish home. They're gathering strength for the egg-laying season. Most pairs of Puffins produce only one egg in the season. A nest with two is very rare. To lose the egg is to lose this year's chance of breeding. The damage caused by gulls is therefore more serious for Puffins than it would be for birds capable of laying a replacement egg. Gulls aren't the only egg thieves on Skomer. Jackdaws, too, play a part in restricting the Puffin population. In fact, each summer sees a running battle between gulls and jackdaws over the Puffin's eggs. It's not all one-sided, though. Puffins know how to defend themselves. The Puffin's egg is large in relation to the size of the bird. It represents an enormous investment of energy for the female, and there's no time to develop another if the first is stolen. With the marauding gulls eternally on the lookout for eggs, the pairs would be well advised to guard their burrows continuously. It's an odd fact that some parents leave the egg unattended all day, as if they were inviting trouble. And they spend their time instead socializing with the neighbors or fighting. the birds which manage to hang on to their eggs have surmounted the first hurdle of the breeding season. In a deep enough burrow, well guarded by its parents, the egg is safe. The chick, when it hatches, will be secure in its underground nest. There are dangers to come, but they're aimed at the adult birds.
The world of survival will continue in a moment. The world of survival.
Scomer Island in summer is an idyllic place, far enough from the coast of Wales to be a secure sanctuary for the puffins. As their eggs hatch, each pair has to start a ceaseless routine of fishing to feed their hungry chick. Their principal prey, the sand eel, is abundant in summer in these inshore waters, and the birds don't have to dive very deep to catch a beakful. In general, puffins are timid birds, but they're also gregarious and even friendly when they're in a flock. This was what suggested an ingenious idea for getting these unusually close pictures. The underwater camera is a formidable-looking object, but another puffin, especially one so sleek and smart, must be investigated. The birds came in quite close to inspect the plastic newcomers. As the weeks pass, the never-ending search for food continues. A great black-backed gull circling over the cliff edge is looking for a meal too, but he doesn't plan to do any fishing. He'll wait until a puffin returns from the sea and then steal his catch. In slow motion, the sheer brutality of a gull attack is clear to see. The fish goes flying, but so does the puffin, apparently unhurt. The gull collects itself, spots the fish where it's floating on the sea below, and then dives to retrieve it. At last, the puffin lands. Evidently, it has decided to walk the rest of the way home. Totally oblivious of the gull standing behind it, it finds the burrow and makes its way to the nursery. The parents feed their chick for about 40 days, until it weighs more than they do. Throughout that time, they have to run the gauntlet of the piratical gulls. These are lesser black-backed gulls. They can manage perfectly well without the puffins to fish for them. But they can't catch sand eels, which swim too deep. Besides, robbing is less effort than going out fishing. The gulls do serve a valuable purpose as scavengers, apart from stealing from the puffins. By picking up scraps of food and clearing away corpses, they keep the colony clean and free from disease. Both parents return to feed the chick when they've caught enough fish to make the journey worthwhile. As the chick grows, the adults can bring back larger sand eels, which makes for greater efficiency. It also provides more satisfying meals for the gulls. It seems that the adult puffin's life isn't all drudgery. On a windy day, when the updraft from the edge of the cliff is strong enough, they will hang on the breeze, an activity which can only be described as play, serving no useful purpose except exercise and entertainment. For a bird which is so poorly equipped for flying, this hang gliding can only be described as a sport undertaken in sheer high spirits. The egg took about 42 days to hatch, and the chick has taken about the same length of time to fledge. Now its feathers are developed enough to enable it to swim and fly. In the middle of August, fledgling chicks begin to crawl out of the burrows to make their way to the sea, usually at night. The chick has started to grow into the tough, solitary life of an adult puffin. As the autumn winds start to whip up the waters of the North Atlantic, the chick goes down to meet the ocean alone. It is a fitting initiation into the cold and lonely element that will be its home forevermore. Anyone who's tried to cross the North Atlantic in bad weather may well wonder how the puffins survive the force 10 gales and 20-foot waves of midwinter. Well, you don't have to worry. They're very tough little guys.
This is Peter Graves. Join me tonight for Biography right here on A&E.
Now stay tuned for Crusade in Europe next.